Seven Eagle. I'm gonna send you the session recordings, but I'll send you to the actual page, and you'll see there if you sign up or if you already have it. We have all of those recordings kind of sitting there that you can download and do your thing. So
Okay,
His name
what's
was
that?
George. His name is George Pardos. If you want to connect to him on LinkedIn.
Okay, Pardos.
Yep, it's in chat. If you can't see it, yeah, it's
Okay, all
regular
right.
George Pardos.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, he was pretty rad. Another one of those people I could have sat there and we could have had a conversation for several hours.
I might be reaching out to him because I'm gonna be in Ohio for a couple of days. I hope I can get to West Side.
Hell yeah, dude, get that shirt. I wear a medium if you're feeling like
Whether whether I do a workout with him, I don't know. I'll be a little bit intimidated, but
it.
well, yeah, well, let's get back. We're gonna talk about four block EJ O'Brien. Hey, welcome. Do you mind if we record this session, by the way?
Nah, go ahead. Go ahead. That's perfectly fine.
You hit that record button. Awesome. Well, I have I built a little introduction for you, for everybody, and then you can kind of fill in the gaps with us, and we'll have our conversation. So let me get you introduced first, and then you tell me whether I missed something or if it did everything. Hey, I'm pleased to honor and introduce EJ O'Brien, a mission-driven leader and retired senior NCO with over 21 years of service in the U.S. Air Force. EJ deeply understands the challenges of military transition and now serves as a regional programs director at 4Block, where he leads career readiness programs for veterans across the Southeast. He brings not only operational excellence in program and project management, but also a deep commitment to making every veteran feel seen, heard, and empowered. Please welcome EJ, man. Appreciate you coming on. This is what we're here for. And someone like you, I think can benefit from us being here and wanting to ask questions, wanting to engage with you. So tell us anything that I miss and how did you get to this point in working with four block?
No, I appreciate it, David. So great introduction. I started off as a admin slash communications troop when I first came into the service, right? And I think for all of us as transitioning service members or as service members at large, we didn't really get a say in what we wanted to do. So I did that. Midway through my career, the Air Force told me, you're going to do this now. And I switched over to being a geospatial analyst. Um, Somebody in the chat, Joseph, we worked together when I was at the Air Force Personnel Center prior to retiring. But getting to where I'm at today is really about that journey of what do I want to do when I grow up? And as I made my transition, I leveraged programs similar to Seven Eagles. I went through 4Block, and I kind of decided I want to do program project management. And I feel like a lot of folks that come out of the military are in that same space. I hear like 90% of the people I talk to are, I want to be a project manager. Why? Well, everybody tells us that we'll be great project managers because of our either working operations or how the military executes. So I did that for a few years at USAA, and then I pivoted to a company called Emeritus out in Nebraska, where I was a Scrum Master, and then was about to be a product owner. At the current organization I'm in now at 4Block, I served as a career readiness coach and then as a career readiness instructor for our Tampa cohorts. And while at USAA, I would bring our students through as a corporate host as well. So I kind of always had this feeling as though when I was supporting the veterans doing those kinds of things on the side, I had a lot more fulfillment. Regardless of what I was getting out of it, I just felt better about what I was doing. So when I had the opportunity this last January to come on full time as the Southeast Regional Programs Director for 4Block, I took it. I talked to my wife and I was like, this is gonna be a little bit of a pay cut, but it's going to be something with purpose and meaning. And that's what I think really for us as service members is we're trying to transition. When you have a true say in what you want to do, it's about finding that purposeful and meaningful role at the end of the day, right? And that's across every organization. I think some of the great things that Seven Eagles does is by exposing you to these different kinds of organizations, it gives you a chance to know where is that cultural fit going to be so you can find an enduring career post-military service. So that's a little bit about where I'm at, how I got to be where I am today. But I fill my cup by doing these kinds of things and supporting you all. I know on your website, David, it talks to the fact, right, over 200,000 people a year transition from the military. So there are always going to be more veterans that need support from organizations kind of like ours and Seven Eagle Group than any of these organizations are going to be able to support at large by themselves. So I'm just grateful for you guys giving me the opportunity to come on and meet everybody and talk to the team today.
No, I appreciate that. And one of the big things is I love to see that there's other organizations out there trying to help. and do what they feel like it's necessary. I think it's necessary. And to be honest with you, like veterans, all of us will struggle at some point, and especially I think in transition. And you made the right point of like you get to finally have a say so in what you want to do because for 4 years, 21 years, whatever it was, you were kind of told what to do, and you accepted that. That was kind of what you got used to doing that. And now you're going to venture into this new space where it's like, hey, now the ball is really in your court. The military has no say so in this. And in fact, they've kind of written, they kind of write you off at the end, right? It doesn't, I mean, it kind of like a soft way of saying it, but to be honest with you, like my replacement's there. Like the next person's up. And so when you finally realize that, you're like, okay, so what I want to do. Talk to us about your program and what 4Block does, like kind of, in a nutshell for us so that we can kind of get a better
So
understanding.
thank you. So 4Block has a kind of our capstone project, our program is a career readiness program. So we do a 10-week career readiness program twice a year. We have 19 cohorts, virtual and in-person across the US. The cohorts that I manage are the Mid-Atlantic region, Charlotte, Atlanta, Southeast virtual, Central virtual, and then Tampa. Charlotte, Atlanta, and Tampa are in-person cohorts. We work with corporate partners similar to what Seven Eagle does. So every week that we go through that curriculum, our students are meeting with a different host employer. So they're going to be the star of the show for that night. And then the way that our curriculum is structured is that week over week, we cover a different topic. So think about that first side of the curriculum being about your personal brand. So we kind of get through telling your story. We get through relationship building and networking, right? Because all of these interactions we have need to be genuine and not transactional. So we kind of talk through that, and then getting to that premier level of support is having a sponsor, somebody's willing to put their reputation on the line for you. Because I think within all of our organizations, we want people to be able to get referred. That way the resume becomes a formality and you already just have to show up well at the interview. So that's kind of where I think most of our organizations are at. And then moving into my favorite block is triangulating your career starting point. And that's about really deciding what does success look like to you? What are your non-negotiables as an individual, geographic, maybe your location, maybe family time, balance, those kinds of deals. And then we help you understand where you might have gaps, or maybe you already have the skills necessary to be successful in that space. And then we do a LinkedIn review. I think you guys have some similar stuff as well. So we'll do a LinkedIn review. And I know Jeff Lodick, the instructor that put me through the program, Jeff Lodick, was on here a little while ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, but phenomenal human being. And then, so that first half is your brand, personal brand. We capture it all, put it into your virtual kind of presence. And that's how we update your LinkedIn profile. And then we'll do some targeted resume elements. And then we'll go through career mapping, right? Because in the military, it's very linear. We know E1 through E4, these schools, these assignments, you're going to get to where you want to be. So we talk about career mapping. What does that look like in private sector? Maybe you've got the soft skills, you've got the leadership, but you don't have the domain expertise. So we're going to get you kind of a roadmap to maybe start back here at point B, but you're going to be able to jump to point F. So we'll talk through that and what that looks like in different industries and organizations. And then we do some mock interviews, get you some sets and reps. We talk about navigating the job offer process. I know this is very standard stuff for most of our organizations, but that was huge for me because prior to coming in the military, I worked at a grocery store. So I'd only ever navigated going from a bagger to a cashier and what that salary adjustment might look like. I didn't know anything about total compensation, bonuses, stocks, shareholdings, those kinds of things that were part of that private sector conversation. And then the last bit is our graduation, and we talk through succeeding in your first 90 days. And that's really about getting to the tipping point and providing value. So it's versus being supported by the organization and how you start supporting the organization. And we talked through some strategies around that, and that's really the culmination. And then the other things we do outside of that twice a year Veterans Career Readiness Program is we offer career and industry pathway events, and those happen monthly. And think of the career pathway events as something around a specific role, kind of like an AFS, MOC, MOS, or rate. And that's like human resources, project management. And then we also offer industry pathway events where we bring in industry partners. I always like to use the example of our financial services one. We had senior partner from Wells Fargo, senior vice president from Blackstone. They did a 45-minute moderated panel discussion with our CEO founder, Mike Abrams. And then we had 13 other financial service companies that meet our students, or meet anybody really for that matter. Any veteran can utilize it. And all of these services are free because of our partners and grants and donations and things like that, which is why I love organizations like Seven Eagle Foundation and also 4Block. So those are really the the crux is we also have a military spouse program. I have a counterpart that manages that, and it's a little bit different from our Veterans Career Readiness program, but we do offer a spouse program as well.
Man, that's awesome. That's a lot of stuff.
It
That's huge.
is. It is.
No.
Yeah.
How, speaking of all that and where you start, you said where you started or where we start with this is we let you tell your story, right? And we kind of build the brand. We talk about that a lot, especially at the beginning and in foundations is who you are. How much, like, where do you see that, like in the veterans? Do you have like do you see them more emotional during that time? Because if you're giving someone a platform to talk about themselves, you're about to retire, you're about to get out. I feel
I,
like it's necessary. It's almost like reflection. I tell people it's extremely important. Tell me who you are without using the military, or just tell me your story. I don't really care. Start from when you the first remember you as a kid, and then move forward from there.
it,
How,
it's
how important is that?
I think it's highly emotional, man, because a lot of times it's where people realize that they don't have an identity beyond the uniform and they start to panic.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people that have maintained their self before coming into the military, while being in the military, and then transitioning out. But there are some folks that have just completely pivoted who they were to be that NCO or that colonel or that, officer. And I think that part of it is really eye opening as they have a chance to kind of almost deinstitutionalize and determine what do they want to be in their next life. And that part of it is pretty powerful, but the self-reflection bit is so key to really deciding what do they want to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, those elements are really interesting to see.
Yeah. No, yeah, I wanted to ask that because I felt like when you mentioned that as first thing, we kind of have that. We try to make people tell us a little bit about themselves. Sometimes we have a lot of people to get through, but in a setting like this, any chance that I get to learn more about the people that I'm with and I'm dealing with, it helps me kind of picture of like what you could do potentially. Maybe you're not thinking about it. Right. And
Yep.
I think a lot of veterans, they pin themselves in this like little thing of like, this is what I can do, or this is what I'm thinking about doing. But then when I hear your story, I go, I think you can do this as well. Right.
Yeah,
And I know, and it's good to have ideas of what you could do, right? Because this is it's your experience, it's your life. But when you get it from a perspective of someone that doesn't know you, or maybe someone that just knows you really well, they might tell you, I think you could be good doing this or
exactly.
anything. Right. So it gives you that confidence level. Um, how in these 10-week, you had talked about the 10-week cohorts, how many students are you kind of like putting through there and like talk
We
to me a
try
little
to
bit more
do
about the program? Yeah.
So we try to do no more than 45, but our average cohort, we shoot for 35 students per class. So about 1,200 to 1,300 students a term, spring and fall. And then our industry and career pathway events are open up to 500. We don't like to go over that because we still want there to be some relationship building and networking. But our hope is, right, is that you walk away with an enduring network. So every week, those host employers are bringing between 5 to 15, depending on the class sizes, 5 to 15 employer partners that you're connecting with, building relationships and rapport. And then you're walking away, hopefully, with a network that's going to find you employment in one of those fields where you can see yourself working. But it is funny, like back to the telling your story piece, a lot of times people just want to stay in their comfort zone. So if they're a supply troop, they want to go logistics or they want to go, intel. But I knew when I was coming out, I did not want to work in a skiff. I wanted to have an Apple Watch and I wanted to see sunlight for at least 4 hours of the day. So it was non-negotiable to me that I was going to do intel after I got out. So yeah, it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, no, I like the way you put that, right? Like some of us are looking for the soft landing and others are like, I don't want to hear about the military. I don't want to see about the military other than my pension and my VA check, and that's it. Everything else is going to be someone totally different. And I can embrace either or. I can kind of like accept those for
Yeah.
what they're worth, right? And so my thing is like, so you went through transition, after a 21-year career. I'm similar as well. But if you could change one thing about your transition, like what you should have known, what you could have known, what you would have done different, what would that be? Or even talk about from a career sense, because I feel like, yeah, you can say within the last year, like there's a lot of things I should have done. But even before that, because I feel like all of us have to come to the reality that your military career will end. There is no if, ands, or buts about that. That is a fact, right?
Yeah.
What should we be doing better? What is something that you could go, if you can go back, I should have got a degree. I should have went to school. I should have started building my own business while I was in the military based on what I knew. What was that? Give us some insight of that. What do you feel?
So I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable with you guys, and this is something that I've heard from other counterparts. But I think because of the way our services structure stuff, we get so focused on us as the individual, and we get so focused on what do we need to do to pivot next. I think the thing I would have done differently is I would have been more, and this might just be me, but I would have been more family centric about we're going to do this journey and transition together, because I was so worried about leaving service that I was focused on getting my PMP, getting those certifications, going to the right programs, talking to the right people, spending hours on LinkedIn trying to make networking connections and organizations, right? Because that's what they tell us to do. But what I should have done more of is talk to my wife about what I was feeling. I mean, we still have a great relationship. We've been married for 23 years, but I think if I would have done something differently, I would have been a little bit, I would have approached my family different through the transition, just to make sure that we had more of a unified approach moving through it. So
Yeah. I think, yeah, a lot of that that's a lot of stress that, you know, whoever's getting out, whatever that is, you're getting out early, you're getting out of retirement, is like, you feel like they're still in the background, just kind of supporting you.
yeah,
But that role kind of changes a little bit to where you go, you know, I tell my wife now, like, you did everything you could for me. I owe you and the kids back. So what do you want to do? She got to pick the retirement location that we're going to live in. She gets to tell me, hey, I'd rather you be able to drop off the kids in the morning instead of the afternoon. And those are like non-arguments. It's like, okay, sounds good. But they're part of my transition, right? And
yeah.
a lot of discussions on that, and I can really relate to that. For that reason of like the one regret, but I do regret too. Like, I didn't know LinkedIn was a thing until I went to TAPS, and I saw it, and then I didn't know how important it was until I came to Seven Eagle, and they started telling me, make connections, do this. This is how you do it. It's all important. So, yeah, definitely I could relate to all that. When you get like to 4 Block, how did you get connected with them? What was that pathway? And then that led to like, hey, your career, this is what I want to do, right? Like,
So it's crazy, right? I was at TAPS, and one of my buddies was like, "Hey, have you heard about this program?" And I was like, "I have not." So I signed up for it. It was during COVID, so it all worked out. I was able to do a virtual session for Tampa because I retired out of San Antonio, and then I just got a lot out of it. I tried a ton of different programs, and one thing for all of us that are on here as veterans, there are a gazillion programs. I know there's a focus group together right now for Tampa. And in the 8 counties surrounding Tampa, there are over almost 5,000 nonprofits that support veterans just in this location. So it's crazy, right? But I was trying everything under the sun because I was very worried about what transition would look like for me. And I tried this program, I tried some other programs, but of all of the programs I tried, this one really paid the most dividends. So because I gave back to it, and I didn't appreciate what I had kind of going through this, because everybody's journey is a little bit different. I was very fortunate. The stars aligned, luck and timing. I fell into a role at USAA. I did SkillBridge with Hiring Our Heroes, which is another great program. The folks at USAA already knew who I was because I interacted with them previously because of this program. So I got a job there as a program project manager. I always felt fulfilled. They have a great mission, right? Serving those who serve. I was in projects and programs where I actually got to do stuff that impacted our junior enlisted based on insurance reductions and things like that. It was very cool, but I just never quite felt as fulfilled as I did when I was doing the corporate host element and bringing the classes through, or talking to my brothers and sisters that were going through this journey. So I was like, it just felt different. And then I pivoted to another company. And like I said, I was making great pay. Everything was good. I just didn't feel like it was truly the fit of what I wanted to do. And then this opportunity came along, and I'll tell you, like I said, there are just some roles that you get to do where it's like you're doing your hobby and your passion, but it's your full-time gig. And that's what this is for me, right? It's the closest thing I've done to wearing the uniform since I got out. And I truly feel that seeing other people find success, watching folks connect the dots and coming through to finding positive outcomes, and seeing families like get back on track. Because this journey is daunting, man. I mean, David, you probably talk to people. I've talked to so many people, especially in the current job market. People are demoralized. They take it personal. It's none of that. It's a crappy process. And we gotta help each other out through that journey. And that's where I get the most fulfillment, man. So I get amped up about this.
yeah. No, I mean, I understand. And I wanted to hear it from your perspective. I mean, most of these guys hear me talk and hear Jordy and everything,
Yeah,
different person to kind of say like, you don't know what's going to like fill your cup, right? And you might still be figuring that out. Hopefully we're helping you push that and that like what does fill your cup. For me, like I'm trading one uniform for another when I go
exactly.
and be a sheriff, right? A deputy sheriff, like, but I'm okay with that because that it makes me feel good. Like even the thought of doing my job, like I feel like I'm already thinking about how I feel it's gonna make an impact, and I just feel like I'm gonna do well. So like I want that for everybody, right? Like whatever that is. But like you said, bring your family into it, find the right program, the right people around you to kind of go help you. And it's okay to ask for help every now and then, right? Or just ask for a perspective. Hey, I just thought about this, right? Like, what do you think about this? And it's huge when you get your first message of someone's asking for advice, right? You're like, oh man, you're asking me for advice. I didn't think I knew much, but I guess a little bit, right? So, one of the big things is just confidence, right? Like, we want people to leave with at least some type of confidence and don't feel beat down. I think in you get I think that's kind of like the climate in the military, not as a whole, but I think it's a certain portions where it's worse than others, where you get kind of beat down after so many years, and then you feel the reason to leave. You want to leave. You kind of feel like it's time. I feel like in my path, like I could have wished I could have done 30, right? But at the same time, I did feel a little bit beat down leaving, going, man, I think it's time. I think I'm done. Right. And
That's
I don't like that feeling. Because I felt like I was waiting for like, hey, Dave, what if we do this? Or hey, we got an opportunity. You can go back to being an E4 and carrying a bag. I'm like, man, where's that at? Right. And it just never comes. And then you have to literally figure it out on your own. But you're not on your own. You're with organizations like yours, Four Block, Seven Eagle, Hiring Our Heroes, all that. So, if we leave together, at least, after this chat is like telling everybody, like there's resources out there.
Yeah, and I think, right, for everybody on the call and anybody that's a veteran, one of the biggest struggles that I've seen is that we're always afraid to ask for help because we're so used to being the folks providing support and assistance. Put yourself out there and be willing to ask for help because this is an environment, it's a terrain that none of you have truly navigated or have been trained to succeed in. So don't be afraid to ask for help, and nobody's going to think nonetheless of you for you doing that in the first place. But yeah, no, it's insane, David. Like in service, like back to your point about being a deputy sheriff, service is in our DNA. If you've served at any point in time, that's part of who you are now, and you're going to want to continue to do that to find
Yeah.
purpose and value, right? So,
Yeah, it's
no,
cool that you mentioned service, right? Like it's like, but anything serves, right? Just different levels of service. So like if you worked for Pepsi, you're doing a service for them, right? You're serving people that enjoy Pepsi, right? They enjoy having the product. And I think for me, like I didn't realizing that I was like, man, I didn't think of that as service, but you're right. Like you're serving people in any capacity. I just found like my dad was a cop in the army, and so growing up, I wanted to be like my dad. So it was one of those things that's what I want to do when I get out. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate our conversation. I know we're coming up on our time, but do you mind if I share everybody your LinkedIn just in case they have more questions about Four Block and kind of you
yeah,
navigating or helping them, any assistance you can provide, that'd be
yeah,
great.
completely happy for that. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Any parting things to us at Seven Eagle and all of our transitioning veterans
I
before we
would
let
just say thank you to you guys for what you do, right? Because it takes a village to support all of us. I would also say, um, don't take transition personal. It's not you. It's just the environment, and leverage as many of these resources as you can, and make sure that you leverage resources that aren't going to take anything from you, right? It should be a zero sum gain. You should get stuff as veterans. Like hopefully, you're not paying people aren't. You're going to realize this very quickly. Everybody wants your GI Bill money. People are going to be coming after you for stuff. Like dodge those sorts of organizations. Lean on organizations like Seven Eagle, Four Block, Hiring Our Heroes. Those are the organizations that want to take care of you. So I just if you need anything Four Block related or not, I'm happy to connect with you, happy to help. If I don't have an answer for you, I'm sure I know somebody that does. But I'm just appreciative that you all gave me an opportunity to come on today. And anything I can do to support you all, we're family through service. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it, EJ. Thanks for your time. Man, it's good to have another person on the other on the same spectrum of what we do here at Seven Eagle, like you as Four Block, that's helping out veterans too. So yeah, please
Sure.
everybody reach out if you have any questions about Four Block or what they do. Definitely hit them up, or just if you need someone to talk to. It's easy as
Sure.
that. We got another
Awesome.
person out there. So thank you for your time, EJ. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, David. You have a good one. Have a good weekend.
You too. Yeah, no. Yeah, companies like that, like it's one of those things like they're out there. I didn't know how many there were until I joined Seven Eagle and I started like, seeing how much is out there, like hiring our heroes. I'm like, I don't Legion vets, Four Block. There's just so many of them that like it's cool to have them on, especially as, they do the same thing we do. We do SkillBridge and that's kind of like where we're at. But to be able to collaborate and like share and have fun with it, like I think it's huge that they're open to that, right? It speaks to the company, both companies to be able to go, hey, yeah, come on, we want to talk, we want to hear your advice. So hopefully you guys got something out of that. So let's take 2 minutes. I know the breaks are short, but we're about to have wins of the week, and that's it for the day, at least for the foreseeable future, I guess. Um, so yeah, go take a break. We'll come back, think about the wins of the week. Remember, we need at least 20 people. Give us your wins, and then what we're focusing on for next week. Walker, you had a question for me about some interview stuff. Are you here?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that at all. I think it's a great thing to have that story, that your elevator pitch or that question specifically, like, tell me a little bit about yourself, right? During that elevator pitch, it is a story. The whole thing is a story, and you're picking out your qualities, what you think you feel like you bring to the company, right? Or that mission that they're having, whatever it is, and however you want to relate that. Like to me, it's awesome if someone's talking about like my mission, like if I had a mission and they're like, "Hey, here's what I bring to your mission," right? Not to you because of course, if you're the boss, you're the boss, but it is a story, and I think that's a great way to have that question answered. It is a story. Tell the story. Pick out those qualities that make you that best candidate, is what I would say, and be willing to give those examples, which is part of the story. So, but it's a good question. I think it is. It's a shortened down question, right? Because you're not like a story from like when I was 12 years old, right? Like it's hard, but you're talking about what is it part of your story that pertains to this conversation, right?
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. I think talking to Russell too was like when he mentioned my dad told me this when I wanted to tell him how old were you when he told you these things because you seem to remember them, but most of those like sayings because I have a lot of sayings from my dad as well, but um, it's one of those things they were younger. I was younger in my life. There wasn't like when I was old they were telling me these things. So it's cool that. But yeah, don't. I, it is a story. Tell
Okay.
them as
Very
fast
much.
as you can is effective.